Well, hello everybody. Laguna back here for some an interesting little exercise. Just gonna get comfortable in my chair here. So, one thing that I haven't done on this channel yet, I was kind of avoiding it for a while just to see how my videos play out. I noticed I don't tend to be a very outward person. Although some people at work think I am extroverted, some people think I'm introverted, so I've decided that today I am going to do an MBTI, a Myers-Briggs type index thing. Did a couple of these at work, and it was based on, like, here's a general description category, which one do you think you fall under? This is supposed to be more targeted, and it's supposed to provide a bit more input into things. As a personality test. Be yourself and answer to find out your personality type, view detailed results, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So there's not really too much. So I'm going to take the test. I'm assuming I click the take the test button. Oh, it's already started. Oh, okay. So, we'll just kind of hop right in. So, I enjoy vibrant social events with lots of people. I'm torn on this one because I do like the atmosphere of live events. Like going to like coffee houses. I like going and listening to the music. But I don't like events with lots of people. I tend to get quieter in crowds. Spend time exploring unrealistic yet intriguing ideas. Well, that one I'm going to agree with. Your travel plans are more likely to look like a rough list of ideas than a detailed itinerary. Ooh. By the way, this video is going to unlock some stuff about me that you guys are going to find funny. So I did end up taking a travel plan to the UK back when I was 22 years old. Yeah, 22 years old. And it looked like a detailed itinerary. I had the job lined up before I went. When I got there, things didn't go as planned, so it kind of did look like a rough list of ideas. Ooh. I would want to go with a detailed itinerary, though. Ideally. I mean, yes, I would like to say, hey, I'd like to see this, 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 and this, and just have fun with it. I'm neutral on this one because like it's better to have a list of ideas and not go with like a rigid structure. Because if you lose the rigid structure, you're screwed. But you need the itinerary because otherwise you're going to be late or... So I'm going to go with the itinerary. You often think about what you should have said in a conversation long after it's taken. That's a yes. Even on the channel, I sometimes think about things and I'm like, man, that joke would have been nice if I had said that on stream. So if your friend is sad about something, your first instinct is support them emotionally, not try to solve their problem. Highly disagree. Solving the problem is the way I support them. People can rarely upset you. I mostly agree with that. There's certain things. You often rely on other people to be the ones to start a conversation and keep it going. That is a heavy agree, but not... Sometimes I rant and rave. But in a one-on-one setting, I would say I would agree on this one. Because technically, I do end up starting conversations, but it usually ends up in a conversation with myself where I'm talking myself through something rather than actually, like right now, I'm talking myself through it. So if you have to temporarily put your plans on hold, you make sure it's top priority to get back on track as soon as possible. That's a yes. You rarely worry if you made a good impression on someone you met. That is a huge disagree. I do worry about that because I tend to say I have some humor that's a little dark, we'll say. And some of that humor does not translate well into the real world. So that was a big no. Impression-wise, you see what you get. Tattoos and all. Or you get what you see, I should say. Good impression of somebody I met, it depends. Socially, I'm going to say I disagree on this one. I more so worry if I'm... See, I don't care about impressions because impressions are just bias. I mean, a first impression, I don't care about. A good impression, See, this is the tough ones. So now I'm worrying about this a little bit. I'm going to hit disagree on that. It would be a challenge for you to spend the whole weekend all by yourself without feeling bored. Disagree. Video games are a good little companion. More detail-oriented than a big picture person. Highly agree on that one. You're very affectionate. Does sarcastic support count as affection? It depends. I'm going to kind of teeter slightly toward the disagree on that one. Not heavily toward the disagree, but slightly. Careful and methodical approach to life. Agree. Still bothered by mistakes you made a long time ago. I'll slightly agree. I'm not bothered by the mistakes I made to the point where I'm just like, man, I wish I would have changed this. I am more so the person who is bothered by mistakes I made, as in, how could I have been so dumb? Or, it's a good way to word this. And this kind of ties back to the whole leaving a good impression. It's like, yes, I could have probably made that better. I constantly think about the things I could have said, could have done. But I also wonder if people still view me based on the mistakes that I made, or do they view me just as a general package? So that is kind of where I would slightly agree with bothered by the mistakes I made. So at parties and similar events, you can be found away from the action. That is a huge yes. You find it difficult to relate to people who let their emotions guide them. I'd say a slight agree on that one. I mean, maybe like a mostly agree. The reason I kind of have a slightly or mostly agree on this one, I understand where people are coming from when their emotions are guiding them. If they're going through a terrible breakup and they're crying and they're about to have like a huge bottle of wine, they're about to have like a couple of cigarettes, or they're doing their detox, whatever. Fine. If you're Taylor Swift and you're singing about all your breakups and that's how you get through it, fine. I understand that's where you come from. Relating to it, I always have that logical barrier in my head that's like, man, why are you doing this? So when somebody acts emotionally and that's what guides them, I'm just kind of like, I understand where you're coming from, but I can't relate to that because I have that voice in my head that separates me from everything that I do. Kind of like a sociopath, but not quite, because I don't use it to gain anything. Looking for a movie watch, you can spend ages browsing. Think, yep, that's a yes. Stay calm under pressure. I'm neutral on this one. I mean, okay. Yesterday I did a Demon's Souls playthrough, which is going to be uploaded pretty soon. I raged at the Man-Eater boss. I rage quit to the point where I didn't even sign off on my video. So, that kind of pressure, I can't stay calm. When I have to clean up after other people's stuff, and they do things that are just obviously wrong, and I have to clean up their mess, deal with, say I'm dealing with a customer service job, and another person who handles the phone call or the email chat or whatever, they colossally screw up. They were supposed to cancel a policy 3 months ago and they didn't, and I had to pick up the mess. I can stay calm under that because the customer is on the line, they're dealing with it. I need to stay calm and get it under control for them. So I can stay calm under that pressure. But inside, I'm just like, just want to like punch that person in the face for not doing their job properly. Or depending on what the pressure is. Actually, no, I actually can stay calm a lot. I mean, there's a difference between something that is trying to infuriate me versus just pressure of a lot of tasks. So I'm going to say I will mostly agree with that one, because when something grinds me down enough, I can't stay calm. But for the most part, I am really good at separating my emotions from things, which is also why I don't react a lot to things on my channel. You see a lot of people that they're just like, okay, here's an example. Some of the girls who are on Twitch playing Breath of the Wild, they get to the first monster and they start freaking out and screaming at the camera. And they're like, "Oh my god, it almost killed me!" And they're like tee-heeing and giggling, and they're on their way. Like, that's fine if that's how you handle your your shit. That's how you handle your shit. But just I find that's very fake. It's a little too over the top for something that's so basic, to the point where it has to be something that's really bothering me, really funny, or really interesting for me to be like animated about things. And this is kind of me just saying how I think. So in a group of people you do not know, you have no problem jumping right into the conversation. That will be a mostly disagree. Most of the time I stay out of their shit. Now that's not to mean that I don't have my own thoughts and comments on it, because I do. Sometimes. Yesterday though, was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. I went to EB Games and I went to get a couple of PS4 games and Switch games, and somebody was in there and they mentioned that they almost bought a PS5 for $1,500. And part of me jumped in and I said, like, hey, look, I understand, like, yeah, your kid wants this PS5. Just heads up, try not to feed into the scalper stuff, because yes, he wants it, but that's literally more than twice the price. That is like plus 150% of what you would pay for it new from EB Games. Better to go through the store. I don't even work for EB Games, and I'm helping EB Games out here. But better to go through the store, and also better to wait, because you might pay the $1,500 now. There's only 8 games on the PS5 right now, which are strictly PS5 only. And even, actually no, there's like 4 that are PS5 only. There's like Assassin's Creed. No, even that's PS4 and Xbox. There's Demon Souls. Yeah, there's Demon Souls. That is the only PS5 specific game that I can think of right now. So anyway, I did jump into that conversation. However, most of the time I would just tend to stay out of their shit so I don't look like an eavesdropper or things like that. Sometimes I'll just kind of quietly chuckle to myself if I hear something, but when you sleep, your dreams tend to be bizarre and fantastical. That is a definite agree. In your opinion, it is sometimes okay to step on others to get ahead in life. That... Ooh. This is the tough one. Some people deserve to be stepped on. My unfiltered thoughts on this are some people do deserve to be stepped on because they bring it upon themselves. I will go over one example. In a group chat on MeWe the other day, there was this one person who was talking about their YouTube channel. And I was following them for a short while. And they happened to mention in the group chat that they don't even like gaming. So they want to do reaction videos to get famous and earn money and all that stuff. And if you want to do reaction videos, that's fine. You do you. However, we were trying to help this person. We were like, hey, we have this software. It's got a free trial. If you want to try it and learn, we'll teach you. If you like the software, you can buy it eventually. I think it was actually Adobe After Effects, because I've got it on my computer. Just be like, hey, download a trial. I'll guide you through a couple of quick little things. Have fun, do what you want. This person loves cartoons, and that's fine. If they want to review cartoons, they want to do their thing, that's on them. But their whole excuse was, I don't know video editing software. I don't know how to read. I don't know how to write. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do this. They kept making so many excuses that they were stepping on themselves, which lets other people get ahead in life. So I may have snapped at them, and I still feel bad about it, but we were trying to help them, and they were just like, man, I can't fucking read. I just told you this. And like they were just being a sourpuss about the whole thing. And I kind of snapped and said, hey, look, this woe is me attitude needs to fucking stop. Like, you're not going to get anywhere with that attitude. If you want to do something... Sorry, if you don't want to do something, if you don't want to do gaming because you're not into games, don't buy games, don't play them on your channel. If you like cartoons, you want to review them, do them. If you can't read, learn. If you can't write, learn. If you can't do video editing software, learn. The simple solution is learn, and there's a lot of free resources out there. So me, I didn't step on them to get ahead myself, but I did step on them which had a bit of influence on other people's opinion on them and myself. And that was my very logical, tough titty luck, like tough as shit, like tough love policy coming through. So in terms of that kind of stuff, I do think it's okay to step on others. However, I don't think that you should throw somebody else under the bus. Like, you shouldn't steal their ideas, claim them as your own, and use that to get ahead, because that's just going to bite you in the end. So I'm going to put a neutral in this one, because it depends on what you're doing. And if you are taking somebody, like if you're stealing from somebody, no, it's not okay. If you are slandering somebody, no, it's not okay. But if they're bringing it upon themselves and you had to take that attack to step on them, to give them the wake-up call to get them ahead in life, yeah, it's okay to step on them in order to get them ahead. It's fine just as well to insult other people, not insult other people. It's fine also to criticize other people in order to get ahead, because that's how the game review industry works. You got a whole bunch of people there that are just like bashing Cyberpunk or saying that Skyrim is boring. There's a lot of different people who make negative game reviews. I even did it myself. I played Dario's Inferno and I thought the game was boring. I said, don't waste your time on this. Yeah, I may have stepped on the creators of that game, but at the end, if, for example, my blog relies on being impartial and I just step on somebody else rather than tiptoe around the subjects, yeah, it's okay to step on them. So it depends on what you're doing. Dedicated and focused on your goals. I'm going to just give it neutral on that one. I've got so many plans on the back burner. If you make a mistake, you tend to start doubting yourself, your abilities, and your knowledge. I'm going to slightly agree with that one. I don't doubt myself. I don't doubt my abilities. I doubt my knowledge. One example that I've had on this one is I still work at a call center. And the training team, I'm not going to say which call center, but the training team has a basic training package that they expedited us through. And basically, our role play was do this change. And then I kind of went through and I did my thing, read the right scripting as part of the role play, and they said, cool, you're ready to take calls. When I got onto the floor, I started getting a lot of compliance issues because I didn't receive the full training. I got the expedited package, and it's not necessarily on the training team for doing that. We're in the middle of a pandemic. They needed people. It happened. Moving on. It's just a part of when you expedite training. Some modules get left out, and it's understandable. The things that I did know, I know. I did the things that I did right. The things I did wrong, I didn't know I was doing wrong until after the fact. So my abilities and myself, I don't doubt myself on those. But if I make a mistake, sometimes I doubt my knowledge because I don't know if I've received the full information beyond that point. As soon as you think you missed one thing, you're just like, okay, what else did I miss? And that's where my big trail off happens. That's when I start bouncing around and things get chaotic. So when at a social event, you rarely try to introduce yourself to new people and mostly talk to the ones you already know. That's a huge agree. Usually you lose interest in it. Oh, that's a huge disagree. I love philosophical discussions. You never let yourself cry in front of others. That's an agree. You feel more drawn to places with bustling and busy atmosphere. That is a huge disagree. Unless it's like Cyberpunk has got neon lights all over the city, then maybe I'll be interested. But yeah, for actually like 99.9% of the time, I would rather like a beach or a forest rather than cityscapes. Unless it's Mirror's Edge. Mirror's Edge is one of my all-time favorite games. You like discussing different views and theories on what the world could look like. I definitely like that. When it comes to making life-changing choices, you mostly listen to your heart rather than your head. I'm going to mostly disagree on that one. There is a slight disagree or mostly disagree. I used to be on this spectrum here. When it comes to making life choices, I mostly listened to my heart. I'm on a once bitten, twice shy to the point where I do have to think about things logically. Otherwise, I'm going to get myself in a lot of trouble. That's how I ended up in England. I cannot imagine yourself dedicating your life to the study of something that you cannot see, touch, or experience. I am going to mostly agree with that one. Actually, I'm going to fully agree with that one. I could never study religion, for example. I can't see God. I can't touch God. I can't experience God. So I would never study God. Same thing goes for quantum physics. It's all pretty much theoretical at this point. I can't experience it for now. I can't picture myself dedicating myself to that. I prefer to get revenge rather than forgive. I'm going to mostly disagree with that one. I would rather forgive and forget. I would rather make amends and move on than have revenge. Because having revenge is like eating poison and expecting the other person to die. It sits with you and stresses you bodily, regardless of whether you admit it or not. So, make decisions on a whim. That slightly disagree. Gaming wise, yesterday, for example, I went in for a PS5 controller and maybe one game. I walked out with 6 games and a controller because of the sales. So, actually, I'm going to quickly amend that to a mostly disagree. Games are the only thing I really make a decision on a whim for. Otherwise, I'd end up talking myself out of it. So the time you spend by yourself ends up being more interesting and satisfying than the time spent with other people. Yes. You put effort into interpreting the real meaning of the message of a song or movie. Agree. You always know exactly what you want. Actually, for big things I will agree. For a lot of the little things, not so much. For example, I would spend a lot of hours looking at the Netflix catalog or my gaming backlog, and I'll struggle to think of what exactly I want to do. Hence why trophy lists help me complete games. So I am going to say mostly I will agree. It's just the little nudge of what do I want to do today. That is the part that really gets me, and I don't know what I want then. You rarely think back on the choices you made and wonder what you could have done differently. That is a big disagree. Actually, a major disagree. Not a big one, just a major one. Not a major one, just a big one. I do think back and I wonder what I could have done differently. I even mentioned that as well. What could I have done differently on this stream? What could I have made a joke about? What could I have done there? I also think about back on the choices I made, and I'm just like, hey, if I did this differently, what would have happened? So I definitely think back on that. 60% there. We're almost there. When in a public place, you stick to quieter areas. That is an agree. You tend to focus on present realities rather than future possibilities. I'm going to disagree on that one, actually. You'd think with the logical mindset I focus on present realities, but I actually do tend to think a lot about future possibilities. For example, gaming-wise, PS5. I go for PlayStation because in the future, Final Fantasy games come out on that. All the exclusives come out there. I mean, technically that would be a present reality. But I can't bank on, for example, the PlayStation 6 or the PlayStation 5 being fully backwards compatible. I can, however, I suppose that would be a present reality more than a future possibility. Okay, well, gaming aside, I think also about things like my present reality. I am not in the game development industry. I am technically because I studied it and I do it in my spare time as a hobby. That's my reality. But my future possibility is that I could eventually work in the gaming industry. So I still hone my skills and I still work with Blender and I still work with some coding as a fun little side project. So technically, I do focus on present realities, but I do focus on the future a lot. I focus on the future a lot more to guide my present realities, but I'm not separate from my present realities because I do need to focus on that to stay ahead. Like, I'm not going to drop my job and just start YouTubing all full time. So I'm going to slightly disagree on that one. There's that essence of realism that pulls me toward the present realities. I'm going to go in the middle in the disagrees. You often have a hard time understanding other people's feelings. That is actually a neutral. No, mostly disagree, actually. Because I do understand where people are coming from. And logically, I can understand where they're coming from. Minus when people get paranoid. Paranoia is like, why the hell are you doing that? When starting to work on a project, you prefer to make as many decisions up front as possible. That's an agree, actually. I tend to go through a lot of decision-making process before I actually do any groundwork on the project. So when you know someone thinks highly of you, you wonder how long it will be until they become disappointed in you. That is a full disagree. A full agree, sorry. You feel comfortable just walking up to somebody you find interesting and striking up a conversation. This is a fun one. Nope. I'm going to disagree on that one. I tend to wait for the opportunity to arise where somebody... For example, there's a girl at work. Back when we were working from the office. Really cool person. Cool style. Cool aesthetic. Cool personality. I would never have talked to her, though, if it wasn't for me hanging out with our friend who was on my team at work. So I would never walk up to her and be like, hey, how's it going? Now that we're introduced, maybe yes. However, no, I don't really walk up to people. Yeah, so I'm okay with that answer. Look, I'm drifting away into daydreaming about ideas and scenarios already, so that's an agree. You look after yourself first and others come second. Mostly agree. If I can't look after myself, how can I look after somebody else? Even when you've planned a particular daily routine, you usually just end... Oh, yeah, the other one is... The reason I have that slightly disagreed on that one is because if somebody is really in danger, I will put them first more than myself. They had to prove that they're in danger, though. Not prove it as in, like, paperwork and paper trail. But, for example, if it's like a scammer trying to get Steam cards on MeWe or Facebook, I ain't gonna just throw gifts at somebody. But there are some times where I will actually set aside a budget to help out a friend who needs, like... There's one guy I know who needed help with rent. I straight up just sent him $100. Just like, hey, you'll pay me back eventually. Done. No questions asked. And I took out my gaming budget to cover that, because that's the human thing to do, is to look after others. But I always make sure I look after myself first so that I don't get into the same situation, and then I will be able to shuffle things around to help people. That's why it's not a full agree. So even when you plan a particular daily routine, you just end up doing what you feel at any given moment. That is a yes. Your mood can change very quickly. That is a huge disagree. My mood is always neutral. My mood is always go with the flow. I don't get from happy to sad easily. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go neutral on that one. Depends on what it is. Demon Souls really worked me up the other day. I went from happy and analytic to just raging. You can often contemplate the reasons for human existence. Yes. My big thing on human existence is if we're all here and we're conscious and we can talk and we can do what we do, I often ruminate on why we're here. Because if we're here for a specific reason, like population, why are we so different from animals? Why can we establish languages that aren't just sounds like and, you know, or like meowing or barking and stuff like that? Like, why do we have more sounds than most animals do? Why do we have the vocal boxes? Why do we have the society? Why do we have civilization? And And I'm kind of wondering why life is the way it is because of that, honestly. Huge disagree on talking about my feelings and emotions. I rarely talk about my feelings and emotions. I try to keep that all bottled up. Detailed education or career development plans stretching several years into the future. I'll slightly agree on that one. It's kind of hard to develop a career development plan when you don't know what you need to develop in order to get further in your career. Plus, doing the YouTube stuff, I really hope that does become a full-time thing. I'm not banking on it, but if it does become a full-time thing that I can make a living off of, honestly, I don't know what I'm doing. And I will not be the first person who doesn't know what they're doing. I mentioned earlier there's somebody else who doesn't either. I don't honestly believe that anybody knows what they're doing. They make the guidelines and rules as they go, and eventually it falls into some sort of company plan. Detailed education, I do have that. I've done my film and English degree. I've done partial degree in robotics engineering. I've done a full diploma in video game animation and development. Career development plans, I don't know, because as detailed as it is, I don't know what the best things are to learn in C# or Java or whatever else is being done in the gaming industry these days. So career development plans, I'm taking every day as I go. But at least I know generally what direction I'm going in. Actually, I'm going to put a mostly agree on that one then. Because it's not like I'm just kind of going in blind. I'm researching what other companies are doing, and I'm trying to learn what they're doing. So at least I've got, like, even if I don't have a plan right now, at least I have a plan for how to make a plan. Rarely dwell on your regrets. I don't have any regrets. I've made mistakes, but I don't have regrets, because all these things that I've done, they've made me into who I am today. I wonder what things would have been like if I made them differently. Not gonna lie there. But I don't dwell on them as regrets. I just dwell on them as... You know, I'm going to disagree on that, actually. Because the fact that I question everything that I've done, even though it's not a regret, I still dwell on it. And most people consider what I've done to be regrets. For example, moving to a whole other country to be with somebody who is seeing somebody else upon arrival, and I am abandoned in a foreign country for 8 months. Just... Also, if it comes up that I'm a stubborn ass, that's going to be an agree on this one, because I am stubborn. I did not take defeat easily on that one. Relationship-wise, I did take defeat easily, but I worked hard while I was abroad. Spending time in a dynamic atmosphere with lots of people will make you feel drained, yes. You see yourself as a realist and a visionary. I will agree. You find it easy to sympathize with someone who has gone through something you never have. Disagree. Empathize, not sympathize. Just realized. I'm going to go agree on that one, actually. The reason I'm going to slightly agree with that one... Okay, mostly agree. The reason is because logically I can put myself in their shoes, and even though I can't see it play out in my head like I'm in the moment, in their scene with them, I can at least understand where they're coming from, why they're frustrated, why they're reacting the way they are, and I understand that. I can't say I feel the way they do as if I have been in it, because that's what most people... Actually, let's look up the definition of empathy. Define empathy. The ability to understand and share the feelings of another. Define sympathy. Okay, so I can understand where people are coming from at least. I just can't feel what they feel, so I'm going to put mostly agree on that one. Personal work style is closer to spontaneous bursts of energy than to organized and consistent efforts. Depends on the mood. It really does. I'm going to go neutral on that one. Because I do have consistent efforts. But if the mood doesn't strike me, I will stop what I'm doing. So I'm going to have to go actually onto the spontaneous bursts of energy. Because sometimes I'll just be like, ooh, So yeah, I do the efforts every day, but my work style is more like autopilot, autopilot, autopilot. Suddenly I'm interested for a short while, autopilot. So yeah, I'm going to go with bursts of energy. Your emotions control you more than you control them. Mostly disagree. After a long, exhausting week, a party is not what I need. Let's see. Frequently find someone wondering how technological advancement could change everyday life. Huge agree. That's why Black Mirror is one of my favorite shows. You can't always consider how your actions might affect other people before doing something. Always. You still honor the commitments you have made, even if you have a change of heart. Mostly agree. Mostly agree. If I make a promise, I keep it. That's why I never make promises. So I don't have to break a promise. But the commitments I've made, even if I have a change of heart, it really does depend. I've sometimes straight up been like, I'm not, like, say I'm invited to a party, and I'm just like, yeah, I'll be there. I made that commitment like a month ago. I might have a change of heart because something soured my mood. I don't have the mental energy for it. I don't have the spoons, so some people say. Sometimes I do have a change of heart and I don't honor the commitments I make because, like I mentioned, that is one example. Rarely feel insecure. Somewhat agree. Because there are some things I don't feel insecure about. As for example, my personality. Yes, it's a little dry. And yes, it is a little sarcastic. Kind of like Chandler from Friends. Or... Actually, yeah, like Chandler from Friends. Or BoJack. I tend to have a dark, bleak outlook on life. But I'm more pragmatic as well. So that's kind of not a BoJack moment. That one would be kind of a Chandler moment, or a Ross moment. Chandler and Ross. But insecurity, are we talking mental or bodily? Because bodily, I don't have a high self-esteem, but I'm not insecure. For example, a dad bod. I know I'm kind of getting there. I know if I exercise, I can get it back into shape, but some people also like dad bods. Some people don't. There's different shapes for different people. Different strokes, different folks, I think was the phrase. So rarely feeling insecure, I can't really say that I do or don't. I have doubts in myself. Doubts that the person I would be interested in would be attracted to me. Actually, I am going to mostly disagree with that one. Because I do tend to doubt myself. Wondering if I'm talking too much, talking too little. Things like that I do feel insecure about. I don't like filling in gender, but screw it. Let's just do it. Now, the good question is... what has changed from 3 years ago? I gotta pull up the picture here. All photos. Get through my memes. So, 3 years ago, I was 99% introverted, 1% extroverted. Well, that stayed the same. Energy, I used to be 31% observant, 69% intuitive. Now I'm... okay, that actually stayed the same as well. This trait shows we were direct or mental energy. Apparently I'm an architect. Nature, I was 44% feeling and 56% thinking. I have now moved to 40% feeling and 60% thinking. Okay. It's a 4% shift over there to logic more than emotion. Tactics. How we... Whoa. Reflects our approach to work, planning and decision making. I was 44% prospecting and 56% judging. Now I am 67% judging and 33% prospecting. That's interesting. And I used to be 53% turbulent, 47% assertive. This trait underpins all others, showing how confident we are in our abilities and decisions. Apparently, I am 67% turbulent now, so that's actually more turbulent than before, and a little less assertive. Let's start reading on this. No thanks, I don't want to... Okay. So I'm an int JT or an int JA. I'd be an int JT in this case. What's the difference? Assertive architect and turbulent architect. The architect is a personality type defined as a quiet individual who values organization, rationality, and imaginative solutions to problems. But what happens when we add one more characteristic to the mix? Identity. Both of them maintain the similarities and value the same things, but with a twist that adds important functional nuance to their expression of architect qualities. Assertive architects are likely to approach the things to do with a greater degree of self-assurance. Interesting. They feel more confident handling the stressors that are inevitably part of life. However, confidence isn't everything and may not always guarantee success. For turbulent architects, many of their best efforts come from concerns about real or perceived shortcomings, which pushes them to work harder and be more meticulous in an attempt to do better or make things better. These personalities are more thorough, not despite the fact that they worry, but because they do worry. Turbulent architects are likely to carry their diligent desire for improvement into any of their personal or professional endeavors. I am going to leave this page because this is kind of wrong, but that's a good summary actually for this. And let's start reading on no thanks. It can be lonely at the top. As one of the rarest personality types and one of the most capable, architects know this all too well. Rational and quick-witted, architects may struggle to find people who can keep up with their non-stop analysis of everything around them. That is absolutely true. I tend to analyze everything. Thirst for knowledge. These personalities can be both the boldest of dreamers and the bitterest of pessimists. Architects believe that through willpower and intelligence, they can achieve even the most challenging of goals, but they may be cynical about human nature more generally, assuming that most people are lazy, unimaginative, or doomed to mediocrity, which... actually, yeah. Architects derive much of their self-esteem from their knowledge and mental acuity. In school, people with this personality type may have been called bookworms or nerds. Yes, I was. But rather than taking these labels as insults, many architects embrace them. They are confident in their ability to teach themselves about and master any topic that interests them, whether it's coding, or capoeira, or classical music. Hence all my musical instruments, my coding, and my desire to go into mixed martial arts as a hobby eventually. You are not entitled to your opinion. You are entitled to your informed opinion. No one is entitled to be ignorant. I like that quote. That is... Harlan Ellison. Okay, yeah, that actually makes sense. He actually would be one of those types. Architects can be single-minded, with little patience for frivolity, distractions, or idle gossip. True. That said, it would be a mistake to stereotype these personalities as dull and humorless. Many architects are known for their irreverent wit, and beneath their serious exteriors, they have a sharp, delightfully sarcastic sense of humor. Yes, I do. Delightfully sarcastic. That wasn't sarcasm, though. That came off that way. Architects question everything. Many personality types trust the status quo, relying on conventional wisdom and other people's expertise as they go about their lives. But ever skeptical architects prefer to make their own discoveries. In a quest to find better ways of doing things, they aren't afraid to break the rules or risk disapproval. In fact, they enjoy it. I do like breaking the mold to find what works better. That is me to a T. And that's also part of why I don't fit in with like call center insurance, customer service, anything, IT. IT, for example, they tend to have like a book guide on how to do things and like just key troubleshooting guides. And for me, as much as the key troubleshooting guides can apply, I don't think that they should be used as a fix-all solution. Same thing with scripting. Different people have different needs. Different people have different, I don't know, time commitments, so they might not be able to listen to the whole thing. People tend to auto-tune you out when you go on for long periods of time. So if I was in a call center environment and I was doing scripting, I tend to just try and be like, interject random points of the script at different points in the call. So I get them engaged, and then, boom, here's a script. Get them engaged, boom, here's a script. That way it's not just a big wall of text, whereas a lot of call centers want you to do the wall of text. And I'm not saying that's the call center I work at. That's just general call centers. Just getting that out there. But for me, for example, I don't like doing, oh, you said this, now this. Oh, you said this, now this. I like to make it a conversation, even though I'm not a people person. Just people learn better when they can approach a topic with something that relates to their personal circumstance. Just as an example here, if you can go on and on about Demon Souls, for example, you can say, oh yeah, fire kills everything. Okay. Fire would kill everything. If it's hot enough, yeah. But if you go to Demon Souls and you say, oh yeah, this enemy's weakness is fire. This enemy's weakness is magic. This enemy can be backstabbed. This enemy can be this. You know the person is, like, if they're asking for your help, they're in the moment and they're learning because you're teaching them things at the time that they're doing it. That is the stuff that people learn from. Not just by saying, oh yeah, do this, 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 and this. It's like, here, try this out. That's how people learn. But anyway, this personality type will tell you a new idea isn't worth anything unless it actually works. Architects want to be successful, not just inventive. They bring a single-minded drive to their passion projects, applying the full force of their insight, logic, and willpower. And heaven help anyone who tries to slow them down by enforcing pointless rules, yes, or offering poorly thought-out criticism, yes. Architects, independent to the core, want to shake off other people's expectations, pursue their own ideas, yes. Personality type comes with a strong independent streak. They don't mind acting alone, perhaps because they don't like waiting for others to catch up, yes. This lone wolf behavior can come off as insensitive, as it fails to take into consideration other people's thoughts, desires, plans, and other people's self-perceptions. I mentioned I did rip into that person a little bit for being self-critical to the point of not trying anything. This would probably fall into the social frustrations. I haven't read this other paragraph yet. But that person who I ripped into a little bit, as much as I feel bad about it, I know I came off as insensitive, and I know that as part of social frustrations, architects are not known for being warm and fuzzy. They prioritize rationality and success over politeness and pleasantries. They'd rather be right than popular. Yep, I guess a lot of fictional villains. God damn it, I share a personality type with a lot of fictional villains. Fudge. Because architects value truth and depth, many common social practices, from small talk to white lies, may seem pointless or stupid. Yes. Kind of the whole, like, does this dress make my ass look fat? No, your ass makes your ass look fat. That kind of moment. As a result, they inadvertently come off as rude or offensive when they're trying to be honest. At times, architects may wind up dealing with other people's worth of frustration. I just don't think it's worth the frustration. But like any personality type, architects do crave social interaction. Sort of. They prefer to surround themselves with people who share their values and priorities. Often they can achieve this by just being themselves. When they pursue their interests, and natural confidence can draw people to them, professionally, socially, and romantically, for the most part. The chess game of life is full of this personality is full of contradictions. That drives people crazy about me, honestly. This should have gone into the social frustrations. Some people are just like, man, you don't like people, but you're in jobs where you deal with people. You prefer logic, but why are you being emotional? Like, there's a lot of these like little contradictions that people are frustrated about with me because they think I am being, what's the word? I guess, a paradox, or hypocritical, maybe? I guess hypocritical. Like if I tell somebody, hey, don't be so emotional about this, this is what to do, yet I get emotional in the same situation, that kind of thing. So yeah, architects are imaginative yet decisive, ambitious yet private, and curious yet focused. From the outside, these contradictions may seem baffling, but they make perfect sense once you understand the inner workings of the architect mind. For architects, life is a giant game of chess. Relying on strategy rather than chance, they contemplate strengths and weaknesses of each move before they make it. And they never lose faith that with enough ingenuity and insight, they can find a way to win, no matter what challenges arise along the way. So this actually does pretty much describe me to a T, almost. There's a lot of inferences I can gain from this. I can't say that I'm surprised by this outcome, because this is actually me. Kind of wondering if this is actually part of why I have troubles with having a visual imagination. Like, I kind of wonder if I overthink the thinking process, so therefore I can't picture the things that I think about. I don't know. Aphantasia is kind of a new territory, and a lot of people don't quite agree that aphantasia even exists. But anyway, that's not the here nor there. Anyway, it's interesting to do these exercises. I also would recommend... I'm not going to do this again until 2025, at the end of the year, if the planet is still around and if I'm still around. That is not a self-harm joke. That is if I don't get hit by a bus or get COVID or whatever else is going on. You know, things happen. But I think in 2025 I'm going to revisit and reevaluate this and see where I'm at. Unless work ends up doing another MBTI, then I might check a look at it. And it's also weird because depending on the day, your results could change. But I'm kind of curious to see where you guys fall into this. So that website, by the way, was 16personalities.com. That follows the Myers-Briggs introvert, extrovert, judging versus feeling, and an S, sensing and intuition, I think, was sensing and feeling. INTF, INTJ, judging and feeling, introvert, extrovert, intuition, and I forget what they are. I actually forget what they are, but 16personalities.com. I'd be interested to hear what you guys are as part of your personalities. At least just to leave a comment down below and just say, hey, I am this overarching personality type. A lot of people think I'm extroverted because of the puns and stuff that I make, but I'm actually not extroverted at all. I actually tend to stay to myself, and this channel is actually probably the 1% of extroversion that I have. This is me trying to be more extroverted. So this is kind of a little bit more of a background as to where I come from with the channel. And that's not to say that it's a bad thing to be introverted and to have a channel. A lot of people would rather see somebody who's more realistic than somebody who is fake and animated. More people would like to see animated people than, you know, analytic people. Depends what you're into. And that's also why I also, on YouTube, I follow John Wolfe. He tends to be a very analytic gamer who plays horror games. And usually, once or twice a week, I will go onto his channel and I will start watching some of his videos because I like seeing how analytic his approach is to things. For example, one of them was called... Oh my god, what's the name of the game? It's one where you have the police files and you're sorting things and you're trying to figure out who's guilty or not. Oh god, what the hell was that game? Not institutionalized. Analytic game. Police game. Okay, I need to go to YouTube for this and go to his actual channel. John Wolfe. Wolfe with an E, by the way. Why is my hair so long? Police game. Not home invasion. Not bad horror games. I think there was one where it was the one with the guy named Spencer. Spencer was one of them. Spencer was the guy's name. I really need to find out this name. Should we go to this house? Oh my god, why is this so... hard to find? I know it starts with the letter I. Not impatient. God. Okay. Maybe I won't be able to find it out right now on this stream. Sorting police cases. Why is this so difficult? It was one of his more popular ones that I saw. But basically what it was is you have this police thing. Basically you're solving case files and there's this character who can like burst in through the window or sneak into the house, and it just, the way that he handled it, he was very analytical. He was thinking about the entire process of all of everything. Like, this person had this specific background, and he was scrutinized. It wasn't an eye. It was scrutinized. It was called scrutinized. He is very analytic in that scrutinized video. And that's kind of how I approach life. Is I tend to think about things logically and just like, okay, I have a hunch, but let's confirm this hunch before I go through with it. That's the best way I can word it. And that's also why I follow a lot of his videos, because that is my personal style as well. Then I watch other people like Jacksepticeye and Markiplier, and they're screaming at a camera. Small doses. Just small doses. I still support them as artists. And love them to death. Specifically Markiplier as a content creator. But just small doses. As an introvert, you can only handle so much extroversion. And that's also why sometimes my videos are a little few and far between. I'm getting used to it, by the way. I'm getting more... I have created a couple of more spoons to deal with this channel more frequently. But that's all I'm going to get into today on this. I'm more interested to hear what you guys are, as part of your personality types. Going forward, I hope anyone who watches this video realizes that this is where I come from. This is why I'm so stoic the way I am on the channel, and this is the level of introversion that I'm trying to get past. Now, there's also like really popular introverted people as well. Like, I mean, John Wolfe is probably the extroverted critical thinker, because he does a lot of personal stuff in his videos as well. I'm not going to get into it. You can follow his channel if you want. But there's also other people who they have a lot that they say in a short amount of time, but they tend to emphasize the key points. And when they emphasize the key points, that extra emphasis that they have behind that gives so much more impact behind what they're saying. And part of that Keanu Reeves, as much as I don't like a lot of his movies because of how stoic he is as an actor, minus The Lake House, that was a beautiful movie with Sandra Bullock. Didn't like The Matrix. Even though I like science fiction, I just didn't like The Matrix. There wasn't enough. Anyway, not the point. He is a bit more introverted as a person, and like when the internet made him their internet boyfriend, he was like, "They what?" That's not saying I won't get Cyberpunk. I'm just waiting for the PS5 copy. But yeah, Keanu Reeves is one of those examples of introverted people who they have had a lot of success despite their introversion, and they've come out of their shell a little bit more to the point where it can sometimes seem like extroversion, and that's kind of where I am aiming to be, at least within a couple of years. So this has actually given me some goals for myself. Not really tangible goals, but at least I have something I can work on. But anyway, I tend to be the person who likes to be approached more than I like to do the approaching. So, huzzah. Hooray. Welcome to the detailed analysis of me. And that probably should have been my opening for this video. See? I am rethinking everything I know about myself already. And everything that I have said in this video, I'm just like, should I upload this? Should I not? Is this long-winded? Am I talking too much? Am I rambling? Who the hell knows? I'm talking things out of my own head, and I'm trying to make sense of things for myself. And this is coming out as a friggin' monologue. I'm going to end this now before this rant goes on a little too long. Have fun out there. Gaming, doing whatever you do. Just whatever you do, be true to yourself, and for the love of God, if you have something you don't know how to do, try to learn. Don't get into a trap where you think your personality is inhibiting you from doing things. You can do whatever you set your mind to. I'm trying to do whatever I am trying to set my mind to. And I'm trying not to let things stop me. And you shouldn't either. So get out there, have fun, find your passion, and pursue it. That is my words of wisdom for the day. And I don't even have a wisdom. That's just general life advice that everyone knows. Nobody just implements it. But if your passion is gaming, if your passion is math, if your passion is writing a book, if you want to write like the world's best romance novel, for God's sakes, aim for the stars. Sorry, shoot for the moon. If you miss, at least you'll land among the stars. That's a quote that my mom put on her MSN handle way back in the day when MSN was still being used, and that stuck with me. Shoot for the moon. If you miss, you land among the stars. Quote for the day. Not the best quote, but it's a good quote. I talked a lot.